Mocha cappuccino macchiato latte. He makes me coffee. He knows just what I like. He doesn't know me, but I can tell he's my type. Oh, he's amazing, but I'm just someone in line.
Get this little spiritual factoid out, because not everybody realizes that. Well, why do you think coffee has become the morning drink? You think it's because it's got this thing called caffeine in it, whatever the hell that particular energy is? Well, that may have something to do with it. But, if you think about it, even though you can get up and get rolling without coffee, it's just unthinkable without it. Now, right, I don't necessarily get energy out of it. I get comfort out of it. I love the warmth of it first thing in the day, man. It warms me right to the bones and then some. And I'll tell you why, It's because this coffee plant, from which the little bean, which makes the coffee become so, that little plant, that little bushy little plant with all them little beans on it, man, absorbs more of the morning sun energy than any other plant in the reality. Yeah, soak that up a little bit, just like the coffee bean do. It just pulls the whole sunshine into it, mystically, energetically. And that's why it's become the morning brew, because it's the morning sunrise coming up in you when you sip on it, don't you know? Now you're conscious of it. Now you can get in the flow. And yeah, you can use a coffee substitute if you have to. It's all in the energy. It's all in the love, the respect you show for the sweet little bean that allows itself to be so abused as to be roasted and boiled so that you can have a little morning sunshine inside as well as out, eh? Now you're starting to catch on to the Coyote way. Oh, babies, oh, the way we play. Lover boy, take it away. Your turn now. Here on the Coyote Medicine Show, your morning wake-up call, don't you know, here on what? The Hazy Radio Network. Good morning to y'all. I love you so much. Welcome to the Coyote Medicine Show here on the Hazy Radio Network. Your morning wake-up call and so much more, don't you know? Yes, indeedy, man. Whew, man. And we ain't needy. We are full of it today, man. Just overflowing with that dynamic love of the heart. So getting back to our little tale here, man, due to the short-sightedness and internal imperfections of some of our fellow loyal citizens of Crestone, Colorado, babies, well, they wound up this building, this albatross, it looks like, man, because it's, standing up there 3-4 stories tall in a place where everything else is small, except for the trees around it. Ooh, and there was a lot of controversy about this thing, but, greed overruled integrity and people got lost. And they sucked this poor person dry, and now they got a half-completed building sitting there, a big old eyesore, reminding them of their short-sightedness, of how unintegral. I guess in a way it's kind of our microcosmic way of reflecting the lack of integrity in the world around us, because it's unavoidable. The energy of life spreads throughout this life and creation, and we're all affected by the behavior of others, whether we know it or not. The more you're aware of course, then the more that can change, and you become the more of the influence rather than the go-along, man, because you realize the living stream of life within yourself. And things flow a whole lot more smoothly for you when you do, So here's what we see in this vision, this dream, that, kind of is unfolding right now. I made one little comment a moment ago about RAWK INN, and all of a sudden I saw the RAWK INN, INN, as in, hotel, restaurant, cafe, motel, party down, hostelry, and shit like that, Old folks welcome, provided you're not too frail. Which would also be a healing center in disguise, because folks could come and stay there and get their medicine legally here in this state, and in this beautiful little RAWK INN, RAWKINN, 2 words, RAWK INN, man. That would be what we got there. It's, you know, like I said, a hotel and a hostelry. And I see it like finished off with natural sandstone siding, you know, all pasted together in the way that these masons do. I got a brother over in Wyoming I'd import over here to do that job because he's like really gifted in that area. One of the finest stonemasons in this world, man, you know. And he probably knows it, you know. But at least he's got what the rest of us lack, integrity. And takes a little happiness in his work, you know. That's an awesome thing. So we need beings like that. So in this dream, you know, the inheritors of the great estate that happen to be possessors of the title to this particular piece of land upon which this poor old eyesore, goodness gracious. I'm getting all choked up over it, baby. Too good a weed, man. Fulfill my need. Oh, goodness. Well, here, I'll salute you with my coffee mug, and that'll help me get through. Okay, here you go, baby. How'd you like that little tidbit about coffee? Bet you hadn't remembered that yet, had you, man? The morning sun is most welcome in the coffee bean plant, man. That's where it is most absorbed throughout of all of nature and creation. That little beanie gets the morning sun and just soaks it in, man. Just soaks it in like, ooh, like an alcoholic on, you know, well, anyway, I didn't want to portray that one. He's a little too coyote. But anyhow, it just soaks it in, man. And then it becomes a living energy. You know, so no matter how much we do to this little beanie, you know, we ferment it, and then we roast it and stuff like that, you know, and grind it up and then boil it again. I mean, you know, goodness gracious, there's hardly anything left, right? Nope. That energy's there, man. Strong as can be. That's why the flavor, that's why coffee has such a good smell and a good taste to it, you know. Ooh, and I'll tell you, and the energy, just like I say, for me, I can function without it. I don't need the caffeine at all. In fact, it kind of twists my body around a little bit. I have to regenerate myself so I can handle it a little bit better, you know. But at the same time, it warms me from the center outward because I feel that morning sun in it, you know. And yeah, and in a way, it's a return to the eternal mother's nibs, you know what I mean? And nourishing yourself there on the real life that you are. That's Mother's way of reassuring you that your life is, well, worthy, full of life, full of love. I mean, you know, there's nothing like the mother's milk. It warms you from the inside out. And this is what we're getting from our morning coffee. You know, that same energy, that same warmth, that same love. And that's why it brings some of us back to life. You know, those that are kind of more consciously present in themselves get a real awakening there. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'll drink 2-3 pots a day. I'm crazy, man, but I do it, you know. I can transform energies, and I'm not as good at it as I once was, but I'm getting better at it all the time. You understand what I mean, baby? Seems to flow in and out, but at the same time, I see the steady nurturance of everything in creation, really. And I kind of realize that with my morning cup of coffee. You see, there's an enthusiasm for life that everything that lives has. And it'll fight to retain that living, conscious presence in itself right to the last little breath it takes. You know, I mean, when it's threatened, baby, it goes into survival mode. We all do. From human on up, you know, because we're the lowest form of life living here right now, about to become the highest and the, you know, the frightest, because we French fried ourselves through hell. And now we get to exist as the whole tater of paradise, man. Take a slice of this one, baby. It's pure nirvana. It's a potato chip way beyond Frito-Lay's conception, let me tell you. How's that, busting the reality down to a tater chip? I like that, man. Lay's potato chips. Nobody can eat just one. The devil made you do it. I know, crunch. Used to be you could eat a whole bag of those things. Don't taste the same anymore. Nothing does, you know. They've superficially implanted even more of a holographic reality by reliance on genetic engineering and chemistry and shit like that. And boy, they've trashed out the food now, man. Shoot. But who cares? You bless everything you consume. Guess what? It's a blessing to you, man. It's just the way it works, you know. I don't care how many poison and toxins they throw in it. You're going to live to tell about it and thrive on it. You're a coyote. You know how to do this. You know how this medicine works. You stay in this loving space and the bastards can't take you down. And you're standing on the street corner laughing like a clown. And everybody's looking at you kind of weird saying, what's he so goddamn happy about? Why is she bubbling over like that? Maybe I better get to know this. Whoops. Wow, they step into your energy field and they start laughing too. And pretty soon the whole God-blessed reality's got the joke just because you started chuckling down there on a street corner about a tater chip joke you remembered hearing on the radio, and all of a sudden the penny dropped and there you was, man, you know, having a dynamic experience with divinity there in the middle of New York City, which in reality don't even exist, man. Yeah, it's just a big old fat illusion. You think them engines sold you something for a few pieces of beaded glass and shit? Well, maybe they did. Maybe they sold you a bill of goods. Maybe you're the biggest suckers of all. And Wall Street then would be a grand illusion too, and all the economy and bullshit to go with it. You know, you bankers are lining up, as a side for the weed business. You got to cut that shit out, man. You ain't going to commercialize Mary Jane, man. You know, yeah, she is commercial now, more or less. But you got to understand the sacred nature of the offering you're dealing with. And unless you approach this industry with sacredness and respect, you ain't going nowhere with it. Let me tell you. We'll just deflate that economy real quick. The bankers don't rule here anymore, and you guys can just eat shit and fly, in my humble opinion. How's that for a loving thing? But it's true. Don't you dare over-commercialize the marijuana business. You keep the loving aspects in it. You keep it small. We don't want the capitalists in this sumbitch. You keep your big money and stuff it up your you-know-what. We'll go the little money route and we'll do it fine. It develops from mom and pop on up, babies. The little hippies in love with their edible machine that makes the greatest chocolates you ever seen, and everybody gets high and happy. You see, it's all about the love we share there. It's about the essential joy in Mary Jane, the same as in that morning sun in the coffee bean, that energy that she shares with us, see? It goes all the way around the whole thing, man, but it's like appreciating what you have here so you can treat it with respect. And if you don't realize what you have there, well, then, babies, you ain't going nowhere. The cold world of money and finance is over with. Whether you realize it or not, don't give a shit. It's over with, so I'm just telling you plain as day, get your ass out of the way. You be cooperative, you be polite, you don't gouge these people because they're in a risky business, so-called. You don't overinflate them, and you definitely don't indebt them into servitude at all. At all. You hear me? You be good boys now, and girls. You behave yourselves, feel your heart. Know your love, know your life. See? Now you can't do it. I just, we, as I should say, not just I. I'm just one little element into reality, just like you are. But, babies, in a united way, the effects of this Vibe Tribe heart just got to you, man. And you can't do this anymore. So there we evened that little score, that little ripple in the stream, man. Ooh, but it's a beautiful little ripple, and I kind of liked its effect. Tested us to the max, didn't it? But we're over it now, man, just like any cool addiction. Sooner or later, you get high enough, you don't need that shit anymore, You're way more enlightened than a shot of H could ever give you. So to speak, you understand what I mean? You do, you grow. I don't care what kind of indulgences you tarnished yourself with here or think you have in this reality, just for, the fact that you could actually feel good, no pain for a little while. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Well, gradually as you continue in this coyote way expansively, nothing you're taking into yourself is restricted in any way. It's all going to the common good, the common goal of the reunion of heart. The coming together that's just like the happy reunion we have after we die and we go back to all of our soul presences who love us crazily. It's a party. Well, this is an even bigger one because we don't have to die anymore. That was the illusion. See, we're never separate from our true life. We project ourselves into this place the same way you would if you was playing a video game and you got yourself all absorbed into it. But now we're unabsorbed and see we're coming back to conscious presence. The more we see the flow of the energies in this life, like albatross buildings in Crestone, the sunshine in coffee, the blessing in the sacred tobacco, the blessing especially in the sacred Mary Jane, and we realize the obscenity of our past ways, the illusion we've lived in, this dynamic that was very unparadisable. It's coming back to paradise real nice, guys. You got to be patient with it. Keep your energy flowing in this direction. Don't be too overamped about anything in this reality because it's all self-correcting. The out-of-hand government, the Nazi empire trying to rise up, all of this shit, is being superseded by the energy of the one love in everything. Conscious presence overrules a violent reality immediately because there is nothing to be violent with. You're all the same being and person and presence in everything that lives. And the need to destroy and hate is gone from us forever. Now, isn't that a cool thing to be doing? I mean, can you see, the fulfillment of this dream? It begins in small ways. Like this Coyote Medicine show here on the Hazy Radio Network. Your morning wake-up call, don't you know? Oh, babies, we got the strum and the stroll and the RAWK INN to go with it, because that's what I'm beginning to see here. Now, I may be full of shit. This may just be a dream, and maybe I'm over-amping myself, because I know there's some real sturdy souls down there that oppose anything that might bring a little brightness to Crestone and make her the sparkling gem that she is, I mean, we need to retain and honor our roots here, which is essentially free souls coming together to practice that freedom together for the greatest good of all. That's the essential essence of Crestone. Whether we know it or not, doesn't matter. It's there, and we do know it, you see. It's just as simple as that. And the people essentially drawn here, now there are some exceptions, but the people essentially drawn here are people of such a gracious, vibrational heart that they can't help but unify with the land around them as they, go through their daily process here, It's like we're all family united here. And, the energy of this land and the energy of the hearts drawn here seem to match each other, much in the same way that, cells and atoms specialize in things, and certain groups of them do certain things, like your liver refines the blood, gets the toxicity out of it, see? So the liver cells are all consciously active and detoxifying, you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? It's kind of like that on Earth, in the reality in which we live. Each person has their specialized place of being. And this is a certain tribal thing here in Crestone that brings a certain element to it. And a lot of people who are like spiritual snobs tend to look down their noses at the rest of the family that, wears backpacks and raggedy clothes and shit and kind of lives a minimal existence, But that's okay. They can do it. It don't get in the way of anything, really. Because the more or less negative souls that have tried to maintain the hold of darkness are weakening great. I see them lightening up every day, every time I encounter them. So it's not every day. I only see them briefly every now and then. But I do see them coming back to life. I see the most greedy intentions that really created this albatross is full of regret now. I really do. I see them as like, wow, why did I do that? Why did we allow this shit to happen? And how can we undo it? Well, here's a gracious way for you, kiddos, and it's just a suggestion, and I won't empower it by asking. I'm just sharing a dream. But we could donate this building, this albatross, this half-completed mess, to an organization called Spirit Wind Productions, which is the heart of all people in motion, the creator of the Coyote Medicine show, don't you know? And out of that building, because it's big, babies, I mean, this thing, has got some real potential. We're going to turn it into the RAWK INN, RAWKINN. I see, this rock siding all the way around it, man. It's an elegant-looking building. They did a good job on that, man. You can see it. It's a diamond in the rough. But it could just as easy burn down one morning because some homeless dude lit a fire to stay warm and was a little careless about it, hanging out in there or something. I mean, these guys aren't thinking. He's just, it just kind of came to a standstill. So now we got to let the heart take over. And, it doesn't necessarily have to come to my organization. If there's somebody else out there that's got an equivalent dream and thinks they can fulfill it, because I'm only one person, I don't do so much, then they should be the one we donate it to, or perhaps just to the community of Crestone. But I want to keep the essential theme of the RAWK INN, which means a rockin' life. And rock on in, babies, And that's also symbolic of the rock, the solidarity of the heart, and the judicious and compassionate nature of that heart. Because this would be a little hotel with, some nice, clean, respectful rooms. Hopefully each one of them with a little window and fresh air and all that shit. For like $30-$35 a night. Real budget price stuff. You don't even see rooms for that anymore. Not anywhere, Everything's around $80-$100, even the sleaze butt places. It's crazy, man. So we'd make it a real reasonable price, however modest it had to be, in order to match the reality. Money changes all the time, So we just kind of like let it go, let it flow, and be what it is, But anywho, so that would be, part of the building. There would also be a hostel in part of it, which means, bunk beds, big room full of bunk beds where everybody can hang out and stay real cheap, like $10 a night. Another $5 you get breakfast in the morning, because we'll have a little restaurant, a little service kind of restaurant down there in the bottom end of it. We don't want to take away from the locals. We want to add to it, And so we're not into competition with anyone. That's just there for service purposes. Take care of our guests, in other words, But we encourage them to go out and spend their money freely in the rest of Crestone, too. Of course, that's what it's all about, is creating a more joyous community here where people can really allow and tolerate one to be free and tolerate one another's existence most pleasantly. And in fact, after a while, we move beyond tolerance and really begin to appreciate one another. Whether we're a crazy hippie drummer or a spaceship scientist or ex-CIA, whatever happens to be here. I mean, there's all colors. There's all different kinds of people here from many, many different and varied backgrounds already. This tribe's done a quite nice job of assembling itself here. And I think it's time we come back to conscious presence, kids, and I see it happening ever since the Crest Fest. Oh, and before that, too. That was just a moment of amplification, and a beautiful one, because it continues to amplify from there, bowling me over, man. I'm having to, face some of the most, integral energies in my life. Very, very primal, basic, deep, deep feelings that I'm dealing with, I know you guys going through it too, each in your own way, at your own level, in your own time, and I bless you for it. I recognize the united nature, and I know I'm not alone in it, And so as I'm proposing dreams that could help Crestone and the rest of this earth become a far happier place of being, I'm also suggesting the recovery of our hearts so we become a far happier person in this place of being in which we inhabit, wherever that might be, you see. What we're starting here in Crestone is what I call a central energy, but it's like the nucleus of a nuclear explosion. It changes everything. As people come alive and gather together here energetically as this tribal heart that we are, the whole town starts to unify. And you wouldn't believe how chaotic it's been here, on how shittily divided it is for a tiny little town. But, you got to understand, these are wildly independent characters that are drawn here for the most part. And that's bound to create some contention now and then, just like brothers and sisters and family squabbles. And, it could have erupted into a Hatfield and McCoys. Might still have that potential. I hate to think of it, but the reality is we're settling down and starting to see something different about one another, And, starting to realize that we truthfully do care and that there is a uniting common bond here, a connection between nearly everybody that lives here. A deep, sensitive one. And that's why we get overly sensitive at times and try and push our opinions off on others. I hope I haven't been too guilty of that. Sometimes I am. But it's a integral that we become integral with one another and start to respect our personal presence in the dream and everyone else's to go with it. So you can't respect anyone else until you find some true respect for yourself. In other words, some gratefulness for the life you've lived, however painfully expressed that might have been, or however joyful. I mean, it goes every which way, doesn't it? But there's always some pain. I mean, that's just life, I mean, we've taken that on ourselves because we thought that would be the greatest gain, and by God it was, but we're down to that stage now where it's over with, babies. You don't need to empower it anymore. We're getting to that place where, humanity first separated itself from creation. That's a beginning, but we're going beyond that one too, but we're remembering that. We're going through the very primal deep feelings that were created in those moments of separation. It's where the ultimate loneliness began and the ultimate hurt to go with it. See, it wasn't a moment of murder or anything like that brought this feeling. It was a moment of seeming separation as we watched our family, our deepest love depart from us, kind of just slowly pull away from us in the sky. And we were like descended to the earth and got feet on the ground and had to walk around, couldn't fly no more. Ooh, quite a different feeling. See, so we're going back to that moment, that feeling of loss that we had then, So we can finally deal with our deepest needs, because that's what they're all based on, that feeling of loss. And it all becomes self-correcting as we feel that feeling of loss. So we allow that pain to be. We let it express in ourselves quite naturally, but we embrace it at the same time. And we begin to see a little different vision, just like I'm seeing a different vision of Creststone here. We begin to see a vision of life coming back to life, of the brilliance and beauty returning to everything that lives, of the sparkling sunshine in everything. So it's in complete harmony with itself at all levels. And there's none of this disintegratous behavior. Not even such thing as mosquitoes anymore. It all transforms. We let go of the torment of ourselves and the pain we've lived in by embracing it, by allowing it to be, and seeing what it's drawn to us. Yeah, some of these torments, I mean, it's not that we're deserving anything. It's just how we wanted it. We wanted to see how we do with it at the very least. And of course, there's far heavier implications there as you kind of start to get to the other levels, and I hesitate to describe them, but it's a divine experience, for example, to get bitten by a mosquito, whether we know it or not. Isn't that strange? But it's the other side of life that we ain't been seeing, the reality. Same principle as, the little coffee bean absorbing the most morning sunshine of anything. It just doesn't. It just happens quite naturally. And through the process of our silly industry, we bring that morning sunshine to us in a sweet little coffee mug. Isn't that nice? Yeah. Oh, babies. Well, we'll get our happy hippie hotel going down here in downtown Crestone, Colorado, one way or another. But I think that old albatross could be used quite creatively. And I think those that overdid it and sucked this poor person dry and left that building half finished ought to be the ones to instigate it, because they're the ones that took it away and trashed our community in this way. They should bear a little bit of, heartfelt process because of that. And, and just do the thing the heart would naturally say. Well, the reason why I did it wasn't for the money. It was so that we could bring to this community a gift, the same as this woman wanted to give to this community. That was the intention behind the whole controversial thing. She wanted to bring something beautiful to Crestone, Colorado, and help it be more of a thriving place. I mean, our economy is shit here. Outside of the pot industry, which is all kind of quiet, there ain't much going on here. Oh, spiritual centers, but their money all goes to other countries, and their people stay there when they're in retreat. They don't come into town, spend money, not very much. See, we've really got a warped, lopsided, depressed place. There's the lowest income in all of Colorado, county-wide, man, And while there's really nothing wrong with it, it's a beautiful thing because it, keeps it from getting overcrowded, and keeps it from booming bus cycles because it's busted all the time. I mean, there's that, even though it's kind of a negative aspect, it's like, well, there is some steadiness in it. You got to rely on that. It's a difficult environment to live in, babies, then especially to afford groceries these days, the way prices are going. Whew. But we're doing all right here, man. It's a community filled with self-sufficient beings, too, those that like to live off-grid and don't mind spending a few bucks to do it. So here's to all the happy hearts in Crestone, Colorado, and all across this earth tuned into this Coyote Medicine Show. Here in this hazy radio network, babies, your morning wake-up call with Grandpa Y'all. Helping us strum and stroll our way into our reality, baby. Yes, the RAWK INN. RAWKINN. With a nice little, not glaring, just a nice little neon sign hanging on the front of it. Oh, and I see kind of a glass dome on the top floor there. And there's a pedestal and a DJ setup where Grandpa can radiate love on the Coyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network, from a beautiful star-studded reality. Ooh, why not, man? Talk about the spaceship love. We just transplant the energy there, man, and start to bring Crestone back to life. God, you guys, you've been wandering around the darkness for long. You think darkness is natural. You think nighttime is where it ought to be all the time. Well, I don't blame you. The romantic inclinations are a lot stronger in the darkness than they are in the light, eh? But sometimes out in the happy sunlight we like to play. Just remember that, darlings. Let it warm you up from the inside out. Get yourself a morning cup of coffee right now and start to consider and pontificate within yourself as to what your true presence in this reality would design for us here in Crestonia, Colorado. Be a hell of a good hangout, too. And there's room enough there. We can put in a 3-lane bowling alley downstairs there if we keep the water out, down there where you tried to create a parking place. And don't you worry about parking. Hell, if it got busy, we'd park everybody down to kiosk and shuttle buses. So it'd all be cool. I mean, we know how to live graciously with each other. We know how to be real with each other. And we also know how to respect another's life enough to allow them to live it. As long as they ain't hurting you any, what the hell is it to you? And if they are hurting you, take a look at it. I mean, are they really hurting you, or is it just some irritation in yourself you've projected on these people? You see, that often happens. We don't like to... Well, in the past, we've lived in such denial. We've been programmed to, expel our energies outwards so that we can deal with them out there rather than in here. It was a way of hiding from ourselves and staying away from our truth for a while, which we really needed to do. We needed to be these crazy little idiots that we've been, drain people dry just for the sake of taking from them, shit like that. I mean, come on, guys. We've all lived it one way or another. Now, I've never been so cynical or callous as that, but I've certainly been hard, babies. I've been more of a loving stance all my life. But, I've had to make some difficult choices, like to fire people when they weren't compatible, shit like that. I mean, I really don't like having to live that way. I think that's why I cuss out the commercialists for trying to jump into the Mary Jane business now, the damn bankers. I think business needs to have a heart all the way across, all levels, all boards. Eventually we'll put money out of business. Won't take long either, once the heart starts singing its song in a little broader sort of way. So let's dream up this RAWK INN in downtown Crestone. And let's make it a place that everybody's happy with. In a sense, even though it's just a little hippie hotel, and we could even call it the Happy Hippie Hotel if you wanted, but I just thought I love the poetic, metaphorical sense of the RAWK INN, with the rock siding and with the rock bands playing inside every now and again. You understand? We definitely have a little music hall in there, one sort or another, so we can have a place for meetings and a place for big family dinners and rock and roll, the medicine for your soul. You want to soothe your conscious presence and bring it into being ever more pleasantly? Well, babies, just keep a rocking and a rolling. Keep a moving in this way. There you are at play already. Even today, the bright sunrise coming up in your heart as Grandpa Coyote shares the universe's great start. But your life and your love and that particular application you're in, babies. Big hugs, big grins. Oh, darling. We in it together now, ain't we? Yes, indeedy. As we continue our flight, our free flight here, live and spontaneous from 9,000 feet high, in the Rocky Mountain sky with that crazy old guy, the cosmic cowboy himself. Well, he's kind of a hippie coyote. That means half cowboy, half hippie. 3/4 hippie. Whatever, anyway, there we go. Here on the Coyote Medicine Show with Grandpa Coyote, don't you know? Keeping you in the flow, yes, indeedy. And, here you go, Manfred Man. Ooh, wow, what a band.